This is the Pain Train Preston Quinn, one half of the Extreme Horsemen. And when I want to hear music and entertainment, I come right here. You're listening to On the Fly with Stevie and Worden.
What's up, guys? On the Fly back again. And tonight, we're doing something a little different. We always do the music, we do the entertainment. Tonight, we go into the world of the paranormal. With us tonight is the Klinge brothers. And I'm going to let Worden, this was Warden's baby here. Am I right?
I'm on the wrong show. I'm on the wrong show.
Who's
those Klinge guys?
Yeah, so one thing they do have going already, I don't know these guys like Worden do, but the one thing they do have going, they're both Steeler fans, and we're showing off Steeler stuff tonight. Worden can't stand it because he's a Cowboys fan, but anyway, we're going to convert him for long. But I'm going to turn it over to Worden and let him do this because this is his baby tonight.
All right. Well, it's a little bit about the Klinge brothers.
Klinge. Okay,
Klinge
my
brothers.
bad.
They are both from Church, Texas. Formed Everyday Paranormal in 2007. And that led to Ghost Lab, which ran for 2 years on the Discovery Channel. They've published a book, Chasing Ghosts, Texas Style, on the road with Everyday Paranormal. Been featured on various shows, including Larry King Live, and have done hundreds of investigations, events, and including to the Ghost Lab. And they continue to do shows and expos to this day. And now they do not only one podcast, but two podcasts. Ominous with Deborah Wilson and Investigators. Welcome to On the Fly, guys. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good.
You announced us like you weren't a part of it. You act like you weren't even there with us.
Yeah.
2007, you were there. Ghost Lab, you were there in the beginning. So yeah, you know.
Yo, I know, but I'm just trying to not be biased.
I want to cut in there and say, God dang it, Jason, I don't care about if this chandelier was made in the 1920s.
Oh yeah, stories on the road. We're filming Ghost Lab in St. Louis, Missouri, and I guess who was the one? Was it Steve Hawk?
Hawk, he wasn't there. Hawk wasn't there, so you had to fill in.
I had to fill in and read the script, and one of the producers had this bright idea for me to talk about the chandeliers. And so I'm sitting there talking, oh, this chandelier was 1920. And Barry are like, what the hell are you talking about? Chandeliers? And she's like, well, I thought it'd make good TV. And it's like, okay. And I still hear about that to this day. But yeah, kind of shows you that when the show we did, it was always cutting up, having fun. What made it fun on the road with the various crew that we done. So, guys, for those of us who don't really know too much about Everyday Paranormal, how did it start? What was the idea to start Everyday Paranormal?
Again, it's so this we like ghost stuff going way back. We'll always say that. Yeah, it started when we were kids. We like the ghost shows, blah blah blah. But it was like when the show Ghost Hunters came on, they were kind of the original primetime ghost show of the modern era, I guess you would say. And I used to watch them knowing that I liked this stuff and I was really, into that. But as I watched them investigate, I was thinking, I think I'd do something different. I think I'd do a little different. I don't know if I agree with that, but they were getting some cool stuff. And so, I went to, at that time, I had already graduated from college and I was traveling around the country. I was, going to different cities and, just traveling, doing what I did for my job. And everywhere I'd go, I'd take like the local ghost tour. And one time I was out in San Francisco. I had a client out in San Francisco, so I hung out there for a little bit. I was going out to Alcatraz with a coworker of mine on the evening, the last tour. They call it the Twilight Tour, which is the last one where it gets dark while you're at Alcatraz. Then they come back. And so before I went out there, I swung by Radio Shack and picked up an audio recorder, like just a digital recorder. because it's like, that's what they use. People are using these digital recorders. They're getting these EVPs. I'm gonna go check this out. And so, as luck would have it, we went out there. The boat was stalled on the San Francisco side, coming back to pick us up. So it was an extra hour or so that everyone had to wait around. Well, I asked the park ranger if I could go back up into the prison area and I just said just to look around or whatever. I was surprised he said yes. So I went up there, went into solitary confinement, got my recorder out, hit record, sat there, and I did like 2 or 3 different little sessions in there. Not 2-3 minutes long, nothing big. On each one of those 2 or 3, I think it was like 3. On each one of them, I got something. I got voices. I got door slamming. I got things that were not happening at the time, but they recorded. And I said, "This is too damn easy. This is too damn easy." And so when I came back and I showed Barry, we're at so like a whole family get together. Showed Barry these EVPs, and he's like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And I say, "Hey, what do you think about forming our own group?" And but we didn't have a name at the time. But then that's also when, Jason, you were there at the beginning, because it happened at Buffalo Wild Wings on Days of Alla Road is where Everyday Paranormal actually started, because I gathered all y'all, you and Gretchen and Hector and a couple other people were there, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to form this group. You want to be a part of it?" And that's actually where it started. And we didn't know what we were doing at the time. We knew, I knew how to investigate things. We knew how to do recordings, and Barry had a video camera, so he was automatically on, the video guy. And we just went out and winged it for a while and just tried it out. And we were getting some really, really cool stuff. And it caught on like wildfire. We're on the news. We had newspaper articles written about us. We were investigating probably 2 or 3 times, at least a month, different places. We were traveling out of state, and it got to be crazy. And that's kind of the story of how Everyday Paranormal started.
Well, I remember us when we were supposed to be working. We were talking about the video from Gettysburg that you had showed us, and I remember you had it on the VHS tape, and it eventually made it onto Ghost Lab, and that is just gives you the chills. If you haven't seen it, Google it on it. I believe it's on your Everyday Paranormal YouTube page, right?
Yeah,
it's on Amazon. Also, if you actually get the Gettysburg episodes at the beginning of that one, season 2, episode 1, it's on that. Yeah.
I also remember kind of some of the ones we did, like Freeman Coliseum, where we get the almost looks like kind of a shadow of I don't know, Teddy Roosevelt maybe, or
it looks like his stance, and we got the clown laughing.
Yeah, I got a clown EVP laughing, and then our trips to Baton Rouge for the Myrtle's Plantation. That was some good stuff. And so what led to the TV show? I mean, what did somebody just reach out and just see what was going on?
We were so damn good looking that they couldn't keep us off TV.
Yeah.
That's
they said, if you get rid of that guy Worden, we'll put you on TV. All right, he's out of here. It was pure luck. I mean, really. Yeah. I mean, it was like just by chance. Someone, guy named Al Lagarde, Al, he gave us a call. It's July 4th of all days. I just remember it being July 4th. And he gave us a call because he was a producer of Paranormal State at the time, and they were going to be coming to Texas to film some stuff, and I guess the locations fell through, so they're desperately looking for some Texas connections to find some places. So they randomly just found us on the website, on the internet, and gave us a call, and he came down. We were actually doing the event at Black Swan Inn. You were at that one too, and he filmed a little sizzler reel. He said, "Man, I really think you guys could have your own show." And so, but it didn't happen right away. It was probably about a year and a half.
Because that was July 4th, 2008. And we didn't start filming until April of 2009. So
they went through like some lawsuits, like some legal things between them. And just finally, in April of 2009, they said, "Hey, let's do this thing." And it only started with 3 pilot episodes and quickly turned to 13 full production episodes where we had to quit our jobs and do it full time. So it was a whirlwind for sure in the beginning.
I always remember leading up to the show, all the characters that we met along the way that you kind of saw their true colors when, there's a TV show involved. Was it really so much about the paranormal, or was it just about, getting the spotlight? And I remember we had the hotline set up for the tips, and I would always monitor the time. And I remember getting a call from SAPD. regarding one of the people that were helping us out. They were, I guess, this couple was helping us out, and they were looking for them. I guess there were some warrants, but we had like kicked them off the team before the show got started.
Yeah,
because
well,
of
actually,
conflict.
the girl. So his I forget what their names were, but she was actually helping the production crew find, like she was doing like production assistant type stuff, helping to make phone calls and whatever. And I think his name was the same guy that was on Jackass, if I remember right, Ryan something.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, that was we met a lot of characters along the way, that's for sure. And you know, we did through quite a few. Some of the crazy psychics, some of the crazy, you know, we were just trying to find our way, and you know, we had to run across all the crazies to eventually find our own way.
Yeah. And of course, those were on the show. That's the whole reason why we had the show. They found all the evidence and had their own get together. I don't know if you remember that guy.
I got a question for you, Worden. How did you get hooked up with these two guys?
Well, Brad's my ex-boss. I used to work for him. Well, I would work is kind of a strong word. He was my supervisor. We did payroll at a company, now defunct company, called West Telemarketing. Back in the day, everybody in San Antonio has nightmares when they hear that name.
That was like late 90s. It was like
late 90s. Mm-hmm. And it's just something we just started talking about. He showed me that video about the Gettysburg, and I had kind of told him about living in Missouri and some of the experiences I had. And it's just something that he always, and I think we were both different jobs, and you still looked us up and said, "Hey, I'm going to start a group, you guys," excuse me, with Hector and Gretchen, and it's like, hey, you guys interested in?
Yeah, because in 2007, I quit Westlake in 2003.
Yeah,
and so that was, and if you think about it, if we started filming in 2009, it was literally, you know, from the time we started to the time we were on Discovery Channel was 2 years or less.
Yeah,
it seems like a short time now that you think about it, but it was a long time coming from the time we got contacted.
Yeah.
But we used to go on those local tours too. Remember, like around remember Dosha Williams, and
yes,
we get on the bus and we do all the local San Antonio stuff. So yeah, we've been. Jason's one of the OGs when it comes to you know, us and Everyday Paranormal and all the stuff that we used to do.
One of the I think my favorite was when we did the thing at the Minger, when they had, I think it was like a
Southern Ghosts. Southern Ghost. Yep. And they came down to that little symposium type thing.
And I remember this poor man was talking about the railroad tracks, and Dosha, boy, she tore him a new one. That's not real. And I mean, she just like chewed him out when he was up there on the, it's like, okay. There's a story, Stevie, about in San Antonio about the railroad tracks. It's supposedly not on the best part of town, but supposedly a school bus got stopped on the railroad tracks and a train hit it. Well, all these kids died. So whenever you take your car and you go to the railroad tracks, you supposedly have these fingerprints pushing you over. But I think it was Debunk saying that, you know, it's usually your car's dirty, and that's from fingerprints from before.
Yeah, it's actually downhill.
It's downhill. Yeah.
It's optical illusion.
But San Antonio has a lot of folklore. I mean, it's like you have so many things here. Donkey Lady, you have La Llorona, you have, I mean, it's just so much.
A lot of Hispanic superstition. Yeah. Stevie, where are you from? You not from San Antonio?
No, I'm from North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
We actually have, what is it about railroad tracks? We have one, like a local legend here, called the Early Station Light, and that it's at a train track. It's a light, and no, it's been. I'm 48 now, and ever since I was a teenager, it's been like out there. Every once in a while, you go out there, you see it. People come from all around to see it, and it just goes up and down the track. You follow it all the way down the track, and it seems like when you catch it, it goes away, and it's no reflection out there. It's nothing. They can't explain it. But if you look that up, I think I said that to you, Worden.
Yeah, there's a lot of lights, Marfa lights, Paulding lights. There's a lot of, same thing with train tracks. Seems like every area has that urban legend or that folklore.
But this one, they went back in history. They said it's supposed to happen in like the 30s or 40s. There's nothing on record that a bus accident even happened. So I don't. Someone really came up with that one and pulled it out pulled it out of their butt at some point in time.
And what was the thing about all the roads around there named after the children?
Yeah,
stuff?
all the
yeah.
Well, and actually, they are all the street names are children or like kids' names or names of people. And it was the contractors who built the neighborhood back in it was their kids, so that's what the street names are.
Yeah, and every Halloween you'll get the thing in our San Antonio Express News. You'll get there's like so many ghost hunting groups around here that it all the time. It's just San Antonio is just with all the history.
Yeah,
there's a bar downtown right next to the Alamo. It's called the Minger Bar, and it's same hotel that we were at the conference, and that's when supposedly the barback saw the ghost of Teddy Roosevelt when he was down here. I remember them telling us in that story. He was down here recruiting Rough Riders, and the guy just freaked out, and they big old guy, and they had take him to the hospital, but he swore he saw Teddy Roosevelt saying like this to come towards him at that bar. That bar's a creepy place. It's a cool little bar. It's right next to the Alamo. There's a lot of history there. So
yep, you can see the Alamo right out the glass door of it. It's literally right across the street.
And what was that one with the guy who was telling us, Martin the Owl or whatever? What was his name?
Martin Lee, the tour guide down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he pointing with his little laser, it said, "Oh, you've seen 666." Now that's on the Alamo.
Yeah, it's on the Alamo.
Yeah. Did Iron Maiden do that, or were they in town with the?
That's what Ozzy
peed
beat
on
that
it,
high. He
666,
beat it that high.
Oh yeah, Ozzy in the Alamo, pissing the Alamo.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got to take a diversion. We on our podcast we do a lot of rock and some wrestling, and I was telling Stevie today, I had forgotten this fact that your older brother went to school with the one and only Shawn Michaels.
Yep, Randolph High School.
Sean Higginbottom.
Shawn Higginbottom.
Yep.
They went to Randolph High School.
Yep. So he really was from San Antonio, Stevie.
Yeah.
I've seen the documentaries on him, and they showed pictures of him back there in high school with his football uniform on. He looked like a pretty big guy in a uniform.
He's actually he's I can say he's small.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm 6'4", 380 pounds. But he's kind of tiny. A couple times I've seen him, he's kind of skinny and he's kind of short, and it just doesn't seem like what you would think.
Yeah.
But then everyone's small to me, so
yeah. Yeah, Brad would have made a good wrestler. He's got the size for it. Don't you have a cousin Bear or whatever? Wasn't he a pro wrestler or tried to be a pro wrestler?
It wasn't pro. It was one of these bar wrestling
Independent
events.
guys.
Yeah, independent.
yeah.
Stevie's a cameraman for a local promotion there in North Carolina for wrestling. Yeah. So yeah. Hey, on speaking of Ghost Lab, with all the investigations you did, what was one thing with Ghost Lab, besides having me on more episodes, would you have changed about the show?
Well, let's say this: you weren't on more episodes because you didn't quit your job like we did. So it's like season 2 came along, and they were like, "Hey, we got to have consistent characters and stuff like that." And that was kind of the reason Hector couldn't do it, and that because the first season they were a little more flexible about doing some and then not some. But then when they saw it was going to go to a season 2 and stuff, they're like, "We got to have consistent characters." So don't put that on me. Don't put that on me, Jason Worden.
I was just scared of the khakis from season 2. Didn't they make y'all wear khakis instead of shorts?
Yeah,
so what would y'all change? Anything on the show you would have changed?
I would have. Go ahead.
I'll say not. I can't think of anything offhand. I mean, we did everything real. Everything there on there was real. So we kept true to the form on that. I think I would like to be involved more with the editing.
That's exactly what I was
how the
gonna
story
say.
was going, because there were several episodes that they flip flop day and 1 and 3 and mess up the storyline, and it didn't come across as how it really happened chronologically. I would like to be more involved in that, which we weren't. We watched it on, whatever it was, Tuesday night, Thursday night. We watched it just like everybody else, and we had no idea what the outcome was going to be. But a lot of times they got it, and a lot of times they didn't.
And I think I know the answer to this one is from Brad. What was your favorite episode? If you had to pick one episode, you had to show somebody that's never seen Ghost Lab, which episode would you show them?
That's 1 of 2. It's either John Wilkes Booth or Deadwood. Yeah. One of those 2.
Tell us a little bit about the John Wilkes Booth. What makes it one of your favorites?
So John Wilkes Booth, obviously the guy who killed Lincoln. When we were doing the scout for season 1 for the locations, we Allegard came down and we did this little road trip. We went up through Dallas and we went across the Mississippi down to New Orleans, and we went all the way to Tombstone. All these places that we were looking for contacts so we could get the place set up so we can go film there. Well, we found out in Granbury, which is near Fort Worth, that there was an opera house there where the rumor was in the town that John Wilkes Booth came there after he assassinated Lincoln. Like, he escaped, that he wasn't killed in the barn in Virginia like the history book said. He actually escaped and came down there because they were like a Shakespearean opera house. So he strolled into town like 20 years later after the assassination. He looked like John Wilkes Booth. He had a limp, like John Wilkes Booth broke his leg. He was everything, and he taught theater at this opera house. And he went by the name of John St. Helens. Well, John St. Helens was going to die, or he felt like he was going to die on his deathbed. He confessed to being John Wilkes Booth and told everybody where he hid the gun and all that kind of stuff. They found the gun where he said it was. It was wrapped in the newspaper, but then he didn't die. He got better. So he had to hightail it out of town, and they think he went to Enid, Oklahoma, which we followed the episode. But we went to the Granbury Opera House thinking in the back of our head, this sounds like a rumor. It sounds like a kind of a local wives' tale, or a tall tale for the town. And it said, wouldn't it be cool if we actually captured some sort of evidence of John Wilkes Booth? And I kid you not, when that night when we're doing the EVP session, and we got a voice that came across when I said, I was taunting, said, tell us what your name is, comes across, yes, I'm John Wilkes Booth, you bastard. And it's
Holy crap.
It's like we all taken aback, like, come again? Did that
Well,
just
what was
really
that?
say?
What was that?
Did that really just say, yes, I'm John Wilkes Booth? And we went nuts because it was like at the moment, it was like we just changed the history books. And we literally did, to us. And we know that was real. And to get that voice, unless someone was just screwing with us, some ghost who was screwing us, says, yeah, I'm just going to say I'm John Wilkes Booth. But it doesn't get any better than that, And it was almost, in a lot of our episodes and a lot of the stories we did, when you look at them, they seemed scripted. Like, it seemed like, oh, they went to go find John Wilkes Booth. Oh, they happened to find John Wilkes Booth. This stuff was really happening. And that was kind of, people always thought, we know you're genuine about this just because by how excited you're getting. Mm-hmm. We were dancing in the street, and we were, and then we went up to Enid, Oklahoma to try to follow the trail after that, because we got that. We weren't going to go to Enid, but because we got that, we continued it to see if we can find any more. But yeah, that was just a fun episode.
Stevie, you're kind of quiet.
No, I'm just taking it all in. That now, during that process where you say you get these EVP, what do you go through to get something like that? I mean, do you, like you said you were taunting him then to get him to say that, to get a ghost to say that, whatever said it. What kind of process did you usually do to get something like that?
Well, it's like the EVP sessions. We had different processes. It's either asking like direct questions, like he was, like, what's your name, or being silent, or what we call watch pot never bowls. We just kind of mind our own business, don't even pay attention, run the recorders. But then we take our recorders, we put it down on software, look at the wavelengths, look at the frequencies, and we find these anomalies, these voice anomalies, embedded in the actual ambient sound. And usually there are frequencies lower than what you can normally hear. Sometimes you hear them real. I mean, you'll hear them live and you record them. Most of the time you record them when you don't hear them. But that's generally the process. And we single it out, pick out that piece, and then play it for the TV show. But it's pretty easy stuff. I mean, it's just, like I said, just turn the recorder on for a while and go listen to it later and see what you catch.
Yeah. That's pretty
What was
awesome.
that? What was that one we got in St. Louis? I think it was I don't like fish and I don't like birds.
Yep.
Some of that stuff
I
just
don't like birds.
makes no sense at all.
Well, because it's not necessarily like a dead guy talking. It's just you picked up a recorded sound in the environment. Yeah.
I remember I think the last kind of investigation I did with you guys was at the King William district, is when we got that sound of the baby on the, clear as day.
Wow.
I mean, it was clear as day. I mean, we didn't hear it real. Did we hear it real? I can't remember.
Well, the weird thing
Michelle
about that,
heard it.
Michelle
Michelle
yeah,
heard it.
The only girl there, all guys and one girl, and she heard it. audibly, and we didn't, but we caught it on recorder. I mean, it wasn't just crying; it was like screaming,
like
crying.
15 seconds. Yeah, it's a long time.
You know, just screaming.
Don't you love it too when people ask you? I mean, you probably get that more. I mean, I got asked the question when I was part of it. It's like, do you really believe in this stuff? I mean, no, I'm just wasting my freaking time.
I was just talking to someone just a couple hours ago who came over, and I was telling some ghost stories or whatever, and they said, "So this stuff is real?" They said that. It's like, no, I'm just a really good storyteller. Like, yes, it's real.
Yeah, I was that always makes me funny. That always makes you laugh. Speaking of ghost hunting, debunking. Seems like everybody wants to debunk everything. Oh, that's not real. Yeah. Case in point, Youve, where we got that picture, that kid took that picture of the floating apparition. It looked almost like a
shadow.
Looked like
shadow.
It looked like a nun.
And I remember you putting it on Facebook, and you had all these, oh, that's not real. Oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, I get debunking stuff, but I mean, not everything's a fake. Doesn't that kind of get on your nerves sometimes? And
this is only so much you can do to try to disprove it. I mean, we try to reenact it. You try to even, it's in the moment. You can't really say, oh, definitely 100% that's not real. Yeah. You can't say it's 100% it is real. But when you try to put it through the ringer, and at the other end, you still can't explain it, and you chalk it up as something abnormal or some sort of anomaly. But that was, I don't know if you were there with me when that kid, I was there with him when he took it. I mean, literally snapped it and showed me. So it was no setup, literally was taken on his phone, I think it was his phone he took it on.
Stevie, sorry.
And he just showed me right away. So there's no way, there's no fakery when you instantly see the result of the picture on the camera. So,
Stevie, the place we're talking about is a little town a few hours from here called Youve, and it's an old abandoned hospital. And the brothers had a show. I think it's still on Amazon called Strange Curiosity, which is which is a great episode too. When they're talking about how a disgruntled, I guess, ex-boyfriend shot and killed. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Shot and killed his wife, his girlfriend there in the hospital.
Yeah, she was a nurse there, and that was actually in the 90s. It wasn't like a long time ago. I mean, I guess 90s is a long time ago, but it was in our lifetime.
Yeah, and I remember us talking that night. It's like, if we could just have this closer to San Antonio, we could make a fortune. I mean, I think they condemned the place now. But
it's actually sold. I just talked to the guy 2 days ago because we were thinking about maybe doing some stuff there, and they actually, somebody bought it. It's falling apart. Last time we were there, the roof was about to cave in. It was so wet from just the rain. It was
the carpet was just like slime. I mean, it was really bad.
Spooky place. It used to be a nursery, I guess, where nuns raised babies, and
it was a Catholic hospital at one time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, because I'm sitting here right now listening to some of this stuff, and you guys are talking about like, oh yeah, it was just that. Any one of these things, you probably would have seen me running out, especially if I'm hearing some baby crying or baby screaming and ain't no baby around. You just see me probably out the door, whip through the door, bust through the door like the Kool-Aid man or something. But geez, when you talk about this stuff, you say, what do you, and we can, either one of you or both of you can answer this question. Strangest thing you've seen? I mean, you've seen some strange things, heard some strange things. What's the strangest thing that both you guys have seen? And maybe it'll be the same for both of you.
Shit, you want to tell them about a story that just happened?
I tell you, probably one of the strangest that ever happened to us is actually 3 weeks ago. We went to Gettysburg. We actually took Deborah Wilson, who's our narrator on our podcast, who took her for her 60th birthday. Her bucket list was to go to Gettysburg and do the battlefields and all that. So we've been there many, many, many times. So we met her in Baltimore. We all flew to Baltimore, drove over to Gettysburg. We actually went to Antietam first day, then came down to Gettysburg. Well, the Saturday night, we're leaving Sunday to come back home. Saturday night, it was about 10:30, 11:15, and up in the Northeast, everything closes early. I mean, it's like 8 o'clock. All the restaurants are closed and can't get anything. Well, there's a convenience store called Sheetz, and they're like a 24-hour. Y'all have Sheetz in North Carolina? Okay.
Yeah, we got them now.
You make your sandwiches and you get all your stuff. So we made the trek, about a 20-minute drive, to go to Sheetz. coming back. It's about 11:15, and we're coming down the main drag in Gettysburg. All these houses you're passing, they were there during the battle. These are old, historic houses that we're passing. So that really was kind of part of the battlefield where you're driving. So we pulled up to a stoplight. Nice lit, corners are lit. Nice white side crosswalk. And there's a guy, a kid, in a white t-shirt, dark hair. He's got a headphones on, and he got a cell phone. He's looking at his cell phone. He's standing on the corner. And we're just at a stoplight. Brad and I are not talking. We're just looking at what's going on. All of a sudden, this guy from our left starts walking across the street. And he's kind of short and pudgy. He's got a long black beard. It looks like he's almost like a reenactor. He's got a Union hat on, which you see a lot of people like that up there. He's got a coat on, and he's just cruising across the street. And we're just watching him go across the street. Well, this guy over here on the cell phone has no idea that this guy is coming right at him. I mean, they're about to collide. He still never looks up. And I'm in my mind, I'm going, man, that dude's about to hit that guy. And I sure as hell, this guy just came by and it's almost like walked through him. Like grazed him or walked through him. He got in the street light, and as the street light started dim, he just went shoop, gone.
Disappeared right in front of our eyes as we were looking at him.
Oh,
and we're like, we pulled, the light went green. The guy in the white, he went across the street. After he passed him, he went across the street. This guy kept going the opposite direction, and literally when he got in the shadow part of the edge of the street light, he just vaporized and just disappeared. And so we pulled forward right when it happened, and we looked, and Brad's driving, and I'm like, where the hell did that guy go? And we went around the block, and we looked. He literally took 2 steps and disappeared in the thin air. It was like it blew our mind. We're like, what?
Wow.
What just happened? We got back and told Deborah Wilson. She was all pissed off that she didn't go with us. She wanted to see a ghost so bad that weekend. She just all PO'd about it. But
did you track the guy down that was walking across the street and ask?
We never saw him either.
We never saw him. We weren't really looking for him. We were looking for the other guy. And by that time, the other guy had, he was there's a college near there. So he was like a college kid or something. So he took off one of the side streets. We didn't see him either. We've seen ghosts there before. We've seen a cowboy, a guy that looked like a cowboy. Like literally, Brad and I were outside about 3 a.m. out of a venue that we're investigating. We had guests there. It was an event. And we're outside at 3 a.m. in the middle, not a soul on the streets in Gettysburg. And this guy just appeared right in front of us, like right between us, dressed in a full duster, almost like a cowboy type outfit, and just sat there for about 2 seconds and then disappeared. And we were so tired, we literally looked at us like, did you see that? And yeah, I said, cowboy, right? He goes, yeah. We both described it the same. And we were just so like, we've seen so many things. It's like, it really didn't phase us, but here's this full blown. Yeah. See the cowboy? Yep. Yeah. Okay. Ready to go to Sheets? Yep. Let's go.
Let's go get a sandwich at Sheets.
I can remember one time us going to, was it Vicksburg, Pennsylvania for that?
Vicksburg, Mississippi?
Mississippi, yeah.
Duff Green.
We stayed in that bed and breakfast.
Yeah, Duff Green Mansion.
Yep, that used to be like was it a Civil War hospital? Or
yep,
they had,
it was a hospital during the siege.
The one I stayed in was like a hospital with a morgue, and they were like, all 3 people were like, "Hey, are y'all are y'all scared to stay in that?" And I think we were all 3 so damn tired that we didn't care.
I'll tell you what, where they did the surgeries, where they cut off all the arms, and they have pictures where there was like body limbs piled up to the window.
Yep.
Back in the day. And that's the most comfortable bed I've ever slept in. One of the most comfortable beds I've ever slept in my life. So
because I remember us driving from here, it's like, shoot, a ghost could have their way, like the entity. None of us would ever know. And like, I'm so damn tired, I don't care. Yeah, but you have a lot of people that just, that's like a deal breaker for them. They won't do it. But I think if you do it for a while, and you kind of get past the Hollywood BS of like, what Hollywood portrays it as. You're looking at history, a lot of it. That's what I always liked about it. It's like you learn something. Like with Ghost Lab, I always learn something about history. Everything's based on history, and it's not so much, it's the land that I always thought it was, like, especially like some of the stuff we found in like Baton Rouge with the EVP Colonel. Are you not afraid? Are you not afraid? It's like, where does that come from? It's the unexplained for a reason. So speaking of like Hollywood, Any ghost movies that you think gets it right about ghosts? I mean, I know we've talked about this before.
Well, we term one of our theories the others theory, because we've seen a lot of times where it's like parallel dimension, where they think we're the ghosts, like just by the comments or the things that we hear, and the things that we study with parallel dimensions and things like that. So Nicole Kidman and the others, where it's she ends up being the ghost haunting a family where she thinks that there's something in the house haunting her.
Yeah.
That movie's pretty cool. That movie's pretty accurate when it comes to, that's why we named our theory the others theory, because of that. So that one probably gets it right.
One I always liked from old school was George C. Scott, The Changeling. I always thought that was kind of
where that kid comes up from the bathtub.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hokey, but I mean, it kind of,
it's subtle. So that's what we've ghost time. People think that you walk into this and things are flying around the room, and
Sigourney Weaver's going to come out.
Blood's coming down the wall. It's not. It's a lot of stuff is subtle, like the Gettysburg instance that we just told you. The guy was real, and we weren't thinking anything of it. It was just a guy crossing the street, and then all of a sudden that happened, and you start second guessing yourself, and then it's more interesting than scary. You're like, did I just see that?
Yeah.
That's where it's cool. It's when those types of things happen, and
that always got me. And like when kind of when we're in Myrtles again, when we set that camera up in the room, and we all went out, and everybody left everybody left the room, and you see that little shadow, like they say was like a little girl hunting that place, and the light shut off.
Yeah, you actually see the little shadow move across the doorway.
And then when in New Orleans, you had Mike Berger underneath the basement doing investigation. You hear the whistle, then you see a rock go past him, and there's nobody behind him.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and actually, so did you have you listened to any of the ominous episodes? Because this did you listen to the second one? That's the New Orleans. So all those ominous episodes are actually real life experiences that
he texted me and said, "Are these stories real?" I said, "Yeah, they're real. They're based on real stories.
They're based on real stories."
Well, they sounded familiar to me, especially when I heard about the dog named Elvis. It's like I knew exactly who that was.
Mm-hmm. The UFO story that's 100% real.
Yes. And I was telling Stevie about the pterodactyl. Y'all saw like back in the was it late 70s, early 80s?
Oh, it was 80s.
Zoology.
80s.
Yeah.
We were together then. I mean, we saw it together at that point, but. And it wasn't just us. There was reports that day on the radio that someone was seeing these giant birds flying over the highway. It's like we saw it ourselves.
Yeah, and I've seen some actually newspaper articles recently that came from back in the Civil War times, where they were taking these soldiers had a pick. They killed this thing, and it was like that. It looked exactly like what we saw, and people were saying, "Oh, that's staged." And it's like, if I didn't know what I knew and what I saw, I would think that, but that's exactly what we saw is what they had.
Wow. Stevie, you seen anything strange
lately? You guys find, and a lot of these stories that I'm hearing you talk about is like, do you find like places like Gettysburg and places like where the war took place that you have more activity there?
Yeah, everything we believe in is based on energy, so it's all energy based. So lack of energy, probably lack of a haunting. Lots of energy, like a war or battlefield where 20-something thousand or 50-something thousand people either die, were captured, wounded in 3 days. That's a lot of energy just on one single area. So there's a lot of energy in Gettysburg, and it's real weird when have you ever been to Gettysburg?
It's been a while.
If you go there, when you drive into town, you get out of your car, you feel like this and like doom, like it's just depressing when you get out, just because of either you're thinking about what happened there or it's just the town itself. But it's very like a downer, when you're there, just kind of thinking of what happened. And if you listen to you don't know this yet, but we actually found out before we went there this last time. Our fourth great grandfather and his two brothers fought at Gettysburg, and actually fought several battles along the eastern coast. So we actually went there and we went to exactly where his unit was. He was from Georgia, he's a Confederate. We went to where all their units were, where they marched, where they fought, all that. It was really cool this time. We've never done that before. Actually having some family members, blood relatives, that you're standing where they were 160 plus years ago. It's really, really,
Yeah,
I mean, it's really
that's
cool. It
pretty
makes it a
cool
different type of trip,
Any thoughts about the other aspects of the paranormal besides ghosts? Like my favorite, time travel. And I guess you guys already talked about the mysterious lights, but any of your other besides the ghosts that you guys are into that you going to be maybe featuring on investigators or ominous?
We're getting a lot into, like before the Ghost Lab, we'd always like someone would have a claim. We'd go check out the claim, verify the claim. Now we go to places that maybe don't even have claims, but based on what we know and what we found in the past, we try to go. I call it paranormal with a purpose. We actually try to go solve something like either a cold case murder, missing person, some sort of family mystery,
a conspiracy.
Something, conspiracy. So we try to solve something now by using the paranormal. We get a name, we get a date, we get some sort of clue on an EVP or whatever that leads us to possibly solving something. So we're getting into that more or less than just finding stuff because it's cool. We want to have like more like a purpose of finding these things.
Yeah, those shows are big, like so much like with the cold case when they're looking for, especially with like the genetics stuff going on. So yeah, I mean, investigating like that, you may never know what you may turn up. So kind of touched on that. Any advice for anybody starting their own paranormal group? I know it's been kind of played into I think Stevie's going to start his own because he's been so inspired with all the EVPs he's hearing. So I think he may go out there and hear some.
I'm sorry. Hats off to what you guys do, but no, I'm not stepping into the. You guys are safe. I'm not stepping into the paranormal world.
Yeah, we take naps on autopsy table, old abandoned, in morgues and
body shoots,
shoots, and yeah.
And tell them some stories about the Ouija board, Brad.
Wiped your ass with the Ouija board.
Yeah, as I say, which one? Because there's several.
Didn't something happen after that? Didn't something
So there's a place in San Antonio where the lady, and this is prior to the TV show. We went out there, and she was like, there's this old woman who keeps coming up to my bed at night, and she says all these different things, but the main thing she says is, don't play with that Ouija board, or don't touch that Ouija board. And she said she had like an old 1930s Ouija board in her closet, and she didn't know why she said that. And long story short, they found out that this lady was a teacher in the area. They found her picture in the Jefferson High School old yearbooks, and she was like a teacher there. But anyway, she was real religious. But for whatever reason, I said, well, can I see the Ouija board? She says, yeah. So she gave it to me, and she walked away, and I looked around, and I was rubbing my butt with it. I was like, hey, how do you like this? How do you like this? Huh? How do you like these apples? But we were all laughing.
Yeah, it was on the camera. I just see Brad there, and we're all busting laughing. Yeah,
it's all funny. Well, we leave there, and it's not 20 minutes later. The lady calls Barry and says, "You're not going to believe this, but like just right after you left, there's one of those giant wrought iron pot racks that it's been hanging in the kitchen for the past 40 years. Just fell to the floor." And we're like, "Oops." Sorry. I wonder why that happened.
And I know this will make Stevie really want to do an investigation. Has anything ever followed you home?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. My old house, man. That my kids would. My wife would actually. I built the house, and there was nothing wrong with it until I started doing this stuff. And one night, my wife was like 3 a.m. She was putting towels on for whatever reason. She turned around. There's a little girl standing there who wasn't one of my kids. And she just kind of walked away. And another kid, kids would not want to spend the night at my house because they were walking through the hallway one night to get a drink of water. They looked in and they see all the kids sleeping on the bed, but they see one jumping up and down on the bed. And when they count the kids, it's like, that's an extra kid. So yeah, we don't know where that one came from. I'm curious I sold the house. I'm curious to go back and ask the people, hey, is there something hanging out here still?
Hey, what was that story, Brad? You told me that one time about when your dad passed away and he was looking over your daughter or something. It got real cold around her. You told me that story once.
Well, there's a couple. I mean, there's right after he died, he liked grapefruit. Like he used to like cut a grapefruit in half and put it on a saucer and sit at the table with a spoon and eat the grapefruit. It was a couple weeks after he died. I went over to the house, and there was no one over there. And there's a grapefruit that was sitting on the table, and it had spoon and everything. It was fresh grapefruit. It had just been cut. You can smell the citrus because grapefruit real strong smelling. And I called my mom and I said, "Hey, do we have any grapefruit?" And I didn't say why. I just said like I was going to eat some. She's like, "No, we don't have any." I'm like, okay. So that was weird. And I mean, there's just been other things about, right after he died,
He got real cold.
Yeah, and then the neighbor who lived next to us, who never met my dad, came over and told my wife, "Hey, this is gonna sound weird, but Brad's dad came to me and said the rock with the dent is in the sock drawer." And it's like she had no idea what that. She never really met my dad. Well, my dad he had a drawer and he had a sock. Well, in the sock drawer, there was a rock that was called what was it called? A worry rock. It was a gag item because you worried so much that you rubbed the dent in it, type of thing. And it's like I knew that was in the sock drawer. She would have not known that. So all those little things, but it happened for like a period of time, and then all that stuff just stopped. And I don't know. Barry actually still lives in the house we grew up in. So I don't know if that's the house that I'm talking about that all this stuff was happening.
Yeah, I've had my old house where I lived down the street from Brad. When he died, he actually visited me. I thought it was a dream. He actually walked over to me, and it's weird. He was like rolling me, like pushing me over, like in my bed, like he was pushing me over on my stomach for some reason. And then and he was like holding me there. I'm stuck, and all of a sudden it just went away. He wasn't there, and I rolled back to where I was. It's just strange. But here at my house, well, actually our house is where we grew up. Just recently, I was brushing my teeth in the hallway. There's a long hallway with all the bedrooms are in it. And I'm brushing my teeth. This is like 6:30 in the morning. And out of my eye, catch some movement. And I actually turn to my right and I look. And all I see, this sounds crazy, I see lower extremities, like lower feet with like socks on, white socks.
Wow.
And they're walking briskly right by my door, like right by the door. I see them. I mean, I'm looking dead at them. I was like, what was that? I didn't say nothing because my wife and them, they freak out when I tell them stuff. But about a month later, we're sitting there talking about something. And I said, yeah, I saw we were talking about ghost stuff in the house. I said, yeah, I saw this weirdest thing. It was like these, something walked by. And she goes, was it like feet with socks on them? And I said, yeah. She says, I saw the same thing in the hallway. And so that's the cool stuff. That's like when they didn't know anything about it and they confirmed it. But we have our cabinets are slammed a lot. I had somebody, I was on my dad's chair. It's still in here, the one that he loved. And I sit in all the time. Something in the middle of the night, I was just watching TV like 1 a.m, came up and just like pulled it straight down hard, like about to flip me over. I thought it was my wife messing with me. Nobody there. You can hear her snoring down the hallway in the bedroom. So it's like, it wasn't her. I don't know what it was, but there's a lot of stuff that happens around our house. See things out in the front. We saw a shadow. Brad saw a shadow running in front of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen things out in the yard. Brad, when he was little, saw our grandma flying around the yard after she died.
Oh, wow.
It's just, I mean, crazy. And I don't know if it's just because we're just in touch with stuff like that, or maybe we see things that other people don't see. I don't know. I don't know why we've.
But it happens all the time, AKA the Gettysburg incident just 3 weeks ago. It's always when we're together.
Yeah.
You talk about being able to see stuff like that. Excuse me. And I've always heard that dogs and cats can sense like ghosts in the house. And the reason I say that too, I'll bring this up. There's a lady that works with me. Her dad passed away probably about a year ago. And after that, things started happening in his house. Like you'd hear, it sounded like people going up the steps and nobody was there. Piano would start playing. Nobody was playing the piano. And now I think the other day she was talking about it felt like under her house, you could feel in different spots, you could feel something hitting up against from under the house. And there's no, the manhole, the way to get under the house is not open. Strange stuff like, and they have a dog. Her brother doesn't live there, but when they bring his brother's dog over to the house, there's one certain room that that dog will not go in. You can put food over there that he eats all the time and all that. He will not go past the door. And all that stuff, it just leads me, you know, I was like, well, maybe the dog senses something there. Because I've always heard dogs can sense stuff sometimes better than humans can. But I mean, but that was just
naturally, you know, and naturally dogs, you say it's like they can pick up the scents. They can, you know, naturally on just taking them hunting or whatever the case would be, they can sense things. Yeah, we used to have a canine unit on Everyday Paranormal where we would take dogs into to do the same thing, to just watch them run around and see if they reacted to anywhere. And we had one case where I had a Chihuahua, and it was a house in a town out here, and there was, like you said, one room where he would not. I mean, he would get vicious. He would show teeth.
Yeah.
It wasn't his nature. But we got some stuff in that room too, you know. So we focused on that room, did the EVP sessions and whatnot, and we did get stuff in that room.
Yeah, she sure feels like there's something going on there in that house.
Stevie, you never see your dogs kind of look in the, because I see my dog Cherokee. She looks sometimes, and I'm like, what the hell are you looking at? Like
there's been several times, and this house I live in now is like over 100 years old. It's like from like 1880. It was actually moved. Part of the house, which they added onto it, but part of this house was moved from about 3 or 4 miles down the road to here. So it's about, I think it was like 1883 is when this house was built. Mm-hmm. So there's probably a little bit going on in here too. I don't want to think about it, but yeah, the dogs at certain times, I'll see them just staring off into the distance. I'm like, what are you looking at? I don't think I want to know, but what are you?
This will kind of give you some make you feel better, Stevie. We did an investigation. Was it in Victoria about the old abandoned house?
Mm-hmm.
It was the old abandoned house, so like 100 years old, was moved over, and the family was like their grandparents or whatever lived there, and they lived in a house over here. Well, the house was no electricity, nothing, but we would go up there and we were doing EVPs, and you clear as day hear piano playing. Like there was a piano there playing. And this is the one where
you got knocked out.
I got knocked off.
I got knocked off.
I got knocked down. I had my hat on backwards. It's probably some deceased Cubs fan because it was my Cardinals hat. Knocked my hat off, and then I think Barry was right behind me, and I just like, whoa!
I know we were laughing the whole.
Yeah, and it was like, and I was just like in the moment of like, you know how you know you're falling and you brace your knees.
Yeah.
It just like whoa, pushed me down. I pissed something off, but that's the stuff that
not you.
Yeah. That's the fun stuff is when that's kind of stuff happens, you know, it's not like your head gets torn off on like a movie or something, but yeah,
it would be so funny if there was a cliff on the other side of you.
That's true.
But it was soft. It was soft grass that you fell in, so it wasn't too bad.
Or I was like Deborah Winger in the Entity, dun, 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 you know, that would have sucked. So, Stevie, you got anything else for him? I think I'm pretty much done with all my questions.
I'm not paranormal wise, but you know, I just got to know.
Oh, here we go.
You want me to mute you now, Worden?
Oh, I knew this part was coming of the show.
You know, as a fellow Steeler fan, I've been a Steeler fan since I was 5. I'm like 48 now. How did you guys get to be Steeler fans?
We had to live here. My dad's from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
He lived in Pittsburgh. So if you didn't like the Steelers, you didn't live in this house. So we're from birth. You know, from in the womb, we were Steeler fans. And it's not just Steeler fans. We're Pittsburgh fans. We're Penguins, Pirates, Steelers, everything. And so I can remember back in the 70s heyday, you know, Steelers just watching TV with my dad and all the memorabilia and stuff we used to collect. And
he used to take us to watch the Oiler games all the time in Houston when they'd come down and play the Oilers.
We stayed in the same hotel. We stayed in the same hotels as the Steelers when they played the Oilers. And I was like, about 13 or so, 12 or 13. Brad was like 8.
We met Franco Harris and Jack
Lambert.
In
the elevator with Jack Lambert, Franco Harris, all the linemen. It was, like surreal. Me, Brad, and Jack Lambert in an elevator. It was like, wow.
That's insane.
And we said, "Can we have your autograph, Mr. Lambert?" And he says, "What do we say in Pittsburgh, please?"
I said, "Please."
Oh, and Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back Carter. He's an asshole. but we got his picture anyway.
The
That's the
teacher?
story. Yeah,
No,
Mr. Cotter on the.
Mr.
Mr.
Cotter.
Cotter.
Yeah,
Mr.
Gabe
Cotter.
Kaplan. He was there when they were getting on the
Cotter.
bus. He was there, and Franco Harris came out, and they were talking. And I went up to, hey, Mr. Kaplan, can I take your picture? He said no. And I said, okay. Click, and right in his face. You're right.
If you had to pick one Steeler, who's your favorite Steeler?
Jack Lambert. 100% me.
Either Jack Lambert or Palomalu.
Yeah,
current time.
Mine was Jack Ham and Polamalu.
Mine's McDonald.
Jack Ham.
Yeah.
Mine's Neil McDonald, 95, 96.
Yeah,
Shut
thanks to
up,
him, he won a Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
I'm telling you, Worden. Jerry Jones gave him an oil well down there in Dallas to throw that game. That's the only reason
You're
y'all
not
beat
gonna.
us there.
You're gonna find out of me. I'm not your average Cowboy fan. I don't drink all the Kool-Aid. I make the biggest joke of them all. I'm loyal to the team, not the owner, because the owner, he's a good businessman, but he sucks as a GM. And I actually wish the Cowboys were more like the Steelers. I have nothing but respect for the Steelers. Granted, they kicked our ass, and they're a classy organization. I mean, that more organizations should be like them. They're ahead of their game.
Well,
I do have Barry on one thing.
What?
The Pirates.
Oh yeah.
Cardinals are a little bit better than the Pirates. I got him on that.
I can't argue about the Pirates. But you know why? You know that Dallas is the America's team. You know how that all came about, right?
The NFL film.
Oh yeah.
No, Steelers turned it down. They actually came to
Yep,
Steelers
they didn't
first.
want to be.
He said, "No, we're not America's team. We're Pittsburgh's team. We don't want that
Exactly.
title." And that went to Cowboys. Oh, sure, we'll be your America's
Yeah,
team.
we'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Well, we prove it every day because you either hate us or love us. So that half America hates us, half America loves us. So whatever.
All right, we're gonna get. I could talk to Steeler fans all day about this. What do you guys think about Kenny Pickett? He's a Pitt guy. What do you think about him going forward as a quarterback?
I like him. I said any rookie quarterback has a lot to prove, but people slouch at Trubinsky. They think, man, I tell you what, Trubinsky's not a slouch, man.
No,
he's number 2 pick overall. He threw for 3,000 yard seasons. He took the Bears to the playoffs both
with Matt
seasons.
Nagy as his coach too. I mean,
So,
God.
when we had Trubinsky, people were like down. I said, man, that's a pretty for the money we spent.
Exactly.
Now we got 2. I think we have a good situation going into training camp. We got 2 good quarterbacks that are about now. What's his name? Mason.
Gone.
He's trash. But
dude, I get scared every time he drops back to pass because and I guess I've been spoiled with Roethlisberger over the years because Roethlisberger, his pocket presence, when that pocket starts collapsing, Roethlisberger will get out. Mason Rudolph has no pocket presence at all. He just sits there like a statue, and I'm just like, he's going to get killed. It got a little better last year when I saw him up, but man, and the whole Myles Garrett thing. But anyway, yeah, I think Rudolph is gone.
The Rooneys were not going to pass up Pickett because they passed up Marino. That's the one thing that Art Rooney Sr. said that was his biggest regret ever was passing up Marino, a local kid, Pitt kid, and he should have picked him, but. They're not. He broke all of Marino's records at Pitt, so they're not going to pass him up. We're not making that mistake. Now they might eat crow. He might suck. I don't know, but I don't think so. He's pretty good.
And the Cowboys stole Dorsett at some point before the Steelers could get him.
I'm still pissed about T.J. Watt right there, and we could have had him if it. No, we go some dumbass named Taco, some guy named
Taco Charlton.
Yeah, and now Taco Charlton plays for the Steelers.
Yeah,
he played. Didn't they cut him?
I don't know. He was on last year. I don't know who they.
He didn't do any good, did he? That
played a couple downs.
He had some good plays for us. I mean, he didn't set the world on fire, but being as we picked him up,
we picked a local kid. He actually went to high school at Judson. That Leal kid.
I saw that.
Yeah, he went to Judson High School, A&M.
A&M. Yeah.
He played the same year my son was a senior. They played against each other. I mean, my son didn't play, but he's the real deal. He's a beast.
Hey, whatever happened to that kid that was pitching for the Reds? Did he? He's
on the White Sox farm team now. Brandon Finnegan. He was with the Reds, but he went to minors. He got hurt. Went back to the minors. Went to the White Sox. Now he's on the farm. He's the only kid. He's the only guy that win a College World Series and a World Series in the same year. He won the World Series with the TCU, and then won it with the Royals that same year.
Yeah. Yeah,
My
that
son's
was
my son's got a picture with his World Series ring on. They went and visited him up in Cincinnati a few years
that was
back.
cool when those pictures and stuff. And now the Reds are they're probably worse than the Pirates, aren't they? Pretty bad.
They're probably a little better. But actually, the Pirates I know they
They swept
destroyed the Cubs a couple of times.
That's always good.
They
They
just beat
swept
the Dodgers not the other day.
They swept the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
That's always
Penguins suck. We just lost this first round 7th game to the Rangers. So I'm a big Penguin fan too. I would love watching hockey.
You think how much longer you think Crosby's got?
He's getting up there. They were saying Crosby and what's his name, Malkin. They've been together. They've been to the playoffs 16 years straight.
Wow.
And they've played together those years. And so he's on his way out, I think. He got hurt. We got hurt one game and didn't play the next game.
Yeah.
And he got hurt the last game and went out, kept going in and out. I think he's about had it. I mean, he's proved he's won some Stanley Cups.
Oh yeah, he's definitely proved his
There's a picture. I don't know if there's a picture or not, but our grandmother, she owned a bar. She owned a bar in Pittsburgh. Little bitty thing, like 4 foot nothing, tiny. There's the Penguins came into her bar when they won the Stanley Cup with the Stanley Cup.
Oh wow.
They filled it with beer.
Wow.
There's supposedly she's drinking beer out of the Stanley Cup. These Penguin players holding it, but I wish there's a picture out there. I'd love to get a hold of that one.
Yeah, as far as the Steelers go, I think defensively we'll be okay. I'm worried about. I don't know how Bush is going to be. I thought we did a good pickup with Miles Jack. That was a good pickup. But
what's his name? Calvin Austin, or he's good. Is that his name? Calvin Austin, yeah. And then George Pickens.
That was a good.
He's
pickup
no joke.
there.
He's no joke. We'll see.
But
we got a tough division, man. Our division is stacked now. Deshaun Watson and the quarterback wise is crazy.
Yeah,
they say that a rumor that the guy from the Browns is going to be suspended for this year.
Yeah,
that he may be out for the year. That's what the NFL. That's what the rumor is. Yeah, the one that went from Houston.
The quarterback, yeah, that'll work.
Well, now he has all I can say is that Amari Cooper now has a quarterback that can actually throw to him. So
yeah, he's on the Browns.
Yeah, I won't even.
As I call them, the Cleveland turds.
I think Cincinnati's going to do this year.
I think they were a Cinderella story. I think good. Don't get me wrong. Joe Burrow's good. I think they just lucked out. I think they shouldn't have been there.
Cowboys got to play the Buccaneers and Cincinnati back to back, so they'll probably
we play Cincinnati. Our opening game is against Cincinnati. We're actually my son and I think we're going to go see him play the Falcons in Atlanta. Brad and Zach went last year to Pittsburgh, watched them play the Broncos.
You know what thing about Atlanta that I read, that they have a Chick-fil-A in that stadium?
They do.
And so when is Chick-fil-A closed?
Yeah, Sundays.
And that's the NFL day. It's like, come on, Thursday night football maybe, but not Monday night, not Sunday night. Well, any more Pittsburgh Steelers talk, Stevie?
He got his fill, I think.
I think he froze up.
I got a football here. I can't get it down, but it's all signed. We went to the Steelers training camp about 4 years ago. It was TJ Watt's rookie year, Juju Smith's rookie year. I got all their autographs. We actually got the first autograph we got on the ball was Hines Ward.
Oh wow.
He wasn't playing, of course. He was like a temporary or assistant coach or something.